Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Something Something podcast. My name is Eric Kasloff, and of course, I am your favorite podcaster. And with me, as always, is Larry Sands. How's it going, Larry?
Eric, it's going great. Actually, a couple of days ago, we just had the opportunity to introduce what I consider the first family of horror filmmaking. Am I wrong, Eric?
Like you mean as entire families because there's
Yes,
been,
yes,
like the Cheneys did acting in horror.
yeah.
But I
But
guess
those
as
are actors, though.
filmmakers wise, yeah, I've never heard of an
Okay,
entire family making horror movies together, which,
yeah,
and I just love that they're more, the Adams family is more our friends. And
yeah,
we're recording this on Friday, August 23rd, and Hellhole is up right now on
yeah,
Shutter.
yeah.
We were able to see it early and it was awesome.
It's
It's
amazing.
great getting to watch them grow and evolve as
Yeah.
filmmakers.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk all day about the Adams family and the effect that it has on
I
both of
always
us. But
forget to go like that when we say their
yeah,
name.
I know. But we have actually, so we just started doing video. We have it up on our YouTube channel, something something films. So go check it out, Eric. I guess you could link it up in the description of this puppy.
I
Um,
guess, yeah. If I'm not doing anything else, maybe, yeah.
right, I know, right? On top of everything else. So what has been going on with you, Eric?
Well, just a lot of writing. Getting
Yeah,
ready to we have my new slasher movie script is set to go, but lately I've been thinking about movies I want to make and scripts I just want to write. I
right.
have a new YouTube channel. Well, relaunched a YouTube channel called Hey, Can I Pitch You Something?
Hey,
And
I saw that Bob Iger was on that
yeah,
last
you
show.
playing Bob Iger, where basically what the channel is about is me talking about the art and the science more of screenwriting.
I love it. Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
think when people think of screenwriting just as an art, you're doing it wrong. Because screenwriting is 85% engineering and
right,
20% art. So on that
right.
channel, it's going to be me talking about the science, like I said, the science of screenwriting, what goes into it. How
Yeah,
do you come up with a script? Should you just write your heart or follow trends? And here's a hint for everybody right now, you should be working on a natural disaster movie because Twisters made a whole lot of money and studios are going to want disaster movies.
yeah, yeah. Spoken
But
like a
Larry,
true
speaking
studio head.
speaking of speaking of money,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have none.
yeah.
Absolutely none. I mean, between, my whiskey and cigar addiction, I have no money whatsoever, Larry. It's
I
bad,
know,
man. It's
I
bad
know.
how irresponsible I am with money.
Well, Eric, I have a feeling, and I think for those of us who are in the creative community, I think they feel that even more because, I mean, and it's like Chris Pratt said just recently when he first got his check from, I think it was like a TV movie. It's like, what did he say, $75,000 he got or something, and he said, "Man, I thought I was going to have it forever." and it just, he took trips, he did this, he did that, but and I think, I think really what it comes down to, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to have a show like this, because we're going to have a financial planner on to talk
Yes.
about how to deal with money. Not just deal with money. I think there has to be a relationship there because, and obviously our guest will know more. So without further ado, let's bring on Patricia Canton. Hi.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me on.
Good.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you very much. I echo that sentiment as
Thank
well.
you.
One of the things, and I know that we were kind of talking before we started to record, is creative people in general, whether they're actors, musicians, authors, are notorious at the beginning stages, even the middle stages of being able to do a film or a music and then get it released, and it brings in some kind of like cash flow, and then all of a sudden it kind of just, I don't know where it all went.
I think it's more so, everybody, what athletes.
Yeah,
ESPN about 10 years ago in their 30 for 30 series did a whole documentary about how athletes, when they first go pro, how a lot of them, these are people who didn't come from money, lose everything almost immediately.
right, right. What is that like for you, Patricia? And how often do you see people that are in need of your services, and they don't, what am I trying to say? Do people, when they come to you, do they have money? Do they want to start looking at how to make more money or keep their money? What is your position in the money chain of people?
A money chain of people. Okay,
Yeah,
well, that's a little broad question, but let me
yeah,
see if I could kind of break it down for you. I service and I help all people with all walks of life, creative people, business owners, just family people. Like honestly, it's very custom, but let's focus on creative,
yeah,
creativeness,
yeah,
which absolutely I love because I love everything that creative people. I absolutely love music. I grew up with music. My dad was is his hobby. He was a musician, and also, but to be honest with you, wished I would have learned this, what I
yeah,
know now, when I was younger,
yeah.
because I would have made many smarter choices.
Right.
So, breaking it down a little bit more, yes, it's first the whole mindset of money. The relationship we have with money. When somebody comes up, approaches you and says, example, Larry, okay, well, how's your finances? What is the first thing that comes on your mind?
Very little. I always working to just make and to save a little bit at a time. A lot of stuff comes to mind. But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And
yeah.
but mostly it's how about you, Eric? I mean, mostly comes into I come across, oh well, no, I don't want to talk about that because what happens in the back of your mind is like, yeah, I think I'm not doing that good. So you don't want
Right,
to,
right.
so our tendency will be into avoiding the conversation like anything else,
Oh,
right?
yeah, right.
That
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That makes
yeah,
us feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so with
And
me, when it comes to money, my immediate thought is how can I honestly know? I'm usually the quippy, funny guy. My thought when it comes to money is how do I double it? Is
right,
my first
right.
thought. Like I remember
Yeah.
my family once, they were all talking about what they would do if they just got $1 million out of nowhere. And when it got to me, my without joking, I was like, well, I would invest a lot right away,
Yeah,
try to find some good things that are too big to fail to invest in,
right.
and buy a house because that always goes well. And honestly, I always believe investing in gold and silver because gold and silver never depreciates in value. It either goes up or stays steady.
Mm, mm,
Well, it comes down to education, like piggybacking on you, Eric. Yes, gold and silver, yes, are good, but they're not necessarily investments. They're just another way. It's another form of cash. In other words, it's not
mm,
investing because you don't invest in gold. You just
Exactly.
mm,
switch
Yeah.
it up. So you have the dollar and you have the gold, but they're
mm.
both not. That's not an investment. It's kind of like saying I'm going to invest in a dollar.
I know
It's
Right,
what you
right.
mean. Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah,
like, so
yeah.
it comes down to. Okay, the first thing that we need to do is change our mindset, because
Mm,
the relationship with money is not bad. Contrary,
right.
those uncomfortable conversations should not be uncomfortable. Like, okay, well, yeah, very easygoing. Like, well, yeah, I'm not where I want to be. And just ask the question, and the main question, and it repeats in my head. And when I sit with my clients, what is the lifestyle that you want? What is your
Mm,
lifestyle? So you know how we
mm,
tell kids, what do you want to do when you grow up?
right.
Right? So if we switch it up and we say, what kind of lifestyle do you want? do
Wow, I
you
like
do you want
that.
to continue working until very, very, when time goes by, when you're certain amount of age,
Right.
or do
Right.
you want to do something else? You want to relax? And so those kind of questions, those are start the questions that you start popping into your
Mm,
head. And then with that, that's the point. So then your relationship with money starts changing, where you say, okay, well, I'm not where I want to be. How do I
right.
get there? So then you
Mm,
remove that comfort, that uncomfortable thought,
yeah.
and you just sit with somebody, like me. I
Yeah.
try to educate people, and the way I come about it is, let me, let me give you a couple things that I've learned.
Right. Right.
Let me share with you what has changed my course of life, my family's life, where it could help you. And then from
Mm.
there, we start building up. Does that make sense?
It
Makes
does. It
perfect sense.
does. It does. And I think, going back to the question that nobody wants to talk about, or the topics nobody really wants to talk about, is I think it could be embarrassing, I
Yeah.
think, to talk about, because everybody has in their mind a level of success of where they want to be, where they should be at a certain age. And I think that's one of the I don't want to say crappy things about the creative field, but you can't really judge your creative life, which you've chosen to do and follow. You can't really judge your creative life on, man, I wish I was at this level, because you never know, because you leave it up to other people, right, to
Yes.
cast you and hire you. But having said that, obviously, creative people have, like, their daytime job to support their creative habit. And so they have this, so they are working, no matter what it is. Is it possible at any level, because obviously, if everybody had a bunch of money to invest in financial planning, and I say this not from the perspective of going to hire you, because you work with people, um, and how does that work? Let's, because I think a lot of people hear and they watch social media, especially. Everybody's a financial planner. Everybody's got some type of opinion about financial planning, which I guess is okay until people start listening to that said person who
Mm,
really may not know.
yeah.
So, as a financial planner, how do you get paid? Is it a upfront fee? Because I think that's important, because a
Yeah.
lot of people are thinking, man, this is great, but really, how much is it? And so,
Oh, mhm.
yeah, talk to us, because I think that's part of the conversation too, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody wants to go buy a new pair of shoes, but then they go, oh, I didn't know it was that much. I think I'm just gonna keep walking, right?
Yes.
And everybody, it sounds good until you get into it. So, like, first off, how much, what is your role, and how much is it to hire you? Do they hire you? Do they work with you? What is your relationship with like us, like me coming to you?
Well, how about if I give you some good piece of news?
Yeah.
How about if I
Yes.
tell you, if I could give you what I know right now, for it won't cost you one penny to talk to me, and you could gain information, and you could educate, or you could make better decisions for yourself, what would you say?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, well,
Yes,
there you
please.
go. That is
Yeah.
your answer. I don't have a fee to sit with and chat with me. that's what I do. Is I have the ability to customize and be able to sit with with my clients, with a
Yeah.
family, and say, okay, because first of all, let me backtrack a little bit, just as me as a person, because you're
Mhm.
right, there is many financial professionals, and I respect my colleagues, absolutely. Everybody has their way and everything, but I could only speak about myself. My passion is to honestly be able to help people. I have my personal story as the reason why, but I mean, I'm a psychology background, and it's my passion to help, and
Mhm.
and be able to try to move somebody from A to B. And there's no shame in that, because
Right.
why? We've all been in those shoes one
Yeah.
way or another.
Yeah.
So just me, just removing the fact that, like, I feel bad because I'm at this age and I should be at this point in my life. There's no shame in that. It's like, it
Mm.
is what it is. And good decisions, or could have we made smart decisions? Maybe, but we didn't. We were in that point of our lives, and that's the decision we made, and we just own up to it, and that's
Yeah.
it. What can
Yeah.
I do to move forward? So that's first of all. So
Cool.
my fee is sitting and being able to share with you, and then we customize, and then when we do that, the whatever, because I have that ability. I don't work for one company specifically. I have a platform that I'm able to work with more than 77 companies,
Wow.
that I could customize. It's very customable to where you are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where there's no fee. Who pays me, because I mean, it is a job, is
Mhm.
a company where I use their financial vehicles, financial products,
Mhm.
to be able to help you, and that's it. But nothing comes from you.
Very cool, very
Mm.
cool. And I just threw up your contact information, and you're out in California, and I know this is like a crazy question, but are you able to help people like outside of California?
Yes,
Anywhere? Really?
I'm
Okay.
able to help
Okay.
people all over the United States.
Ah, I
Yeah,
like that.
so I'm licensed in a couple of states, and then it's very simple. I just pay that license fee to be able to be obviously always in compliance with
Yeah,
that state,
yeah,
and I'm able to support and help. But it's the education is the same,
yeah.
and the knowledge is the same. How can I apply this knowledge? And that
Mhm.
warm conversation, it is. And you asked me, how do I, there's so many financial planners, so many, how do
Right,
I pick
right.
it? I'm going to put
Yeah.
it to you this way. How do you know, as a creative, what kind of music you want to,
Ooh,
what's your niche? What is your, so normally, because my dad had that beautiful creative side of his,
yeah.
and I grew up with that. He loved romance, and he played the guitar,
Oh,
and he would Spanish music, we
yeah,
call
yeah,
baladas in
yeah,
Spanish.
Yeah.
yeah.
um, Absolutely amazing. That's what he would focus on, you know so the same thing is when you pick somebody, you pick that, you know where do you feel good,
Right,
where do you,
right,
how can
right.
if you could, yes, there's so many information, it's good information that we get online, absolutely, but how do you connect with that person? And that's something I love to do. I love to connect with somebody, and just be able to sit down and, like, what, truthfully, I really want to help you. I really
Yeah.
want you to feel better, and feel more secure and have something going, and you start with one step at a time. Yes,
Mhm.
you want to go to Z, but how do we go to Z? We have to start with B, right?
Mm.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah, which
that's,
is very true.
That's good.
yeah,
That's
so
good.
Very
so
true.
that's what we do.
Yeah.
And me personally, I just that's I thrive on that. I just literally, every time I could help somebody, I will actually be able to. I do that. It's just my essence in general,
So,
and that's the reason I tied all my knowledge that I have from my background. As a I break languages too. I'm also an interpreter as skill, and then I tied into financial business. So putting all those skills together, and
Yeah.
all of them, what they have in common is to be able to really help somebody. An interpreter
Yeah.
breaks languages. The psychology helps, people in different ways. And then
Yeah.
financially, educating somebody, helping them somebody to feel secure in the future. Honestly, I've made a difference. If I someday it's my turn to leave and I could have made that difference in the world,
Wow.
in somebody's life,
Yeah.
that's I feel that's what I want to do. And that includes also obviously all creative people. That it's I really believe that creative people have such an amazing brain because they
Yeah.
have tap into that left side of the brain. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So yes, like the example that you put, that person who received a $75,000 check,
Yeah.
and yeah, they enjoyed it. But yes, I
Yeah.
would definitely direct them, like, you know what, you've earned it. You should enjoy a part of it,
Yeah.
travel, enjoy, buy something you like, pay
Exactly. Yeah.
yourself first,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then let's grow this. And that's where I
Ooh.
come in place. Let's
Yeah.
multiply this.
Yeah. Which is exactly what Eric had said, is as soon as he gets, money, he's always thinking about, growing it. And
Because
I
I
think
think people always forget the purpose, to me at least, of money isn't to spend it, it's to grow it. It's like there was one of my favorite lines in the Social Network was $1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool? $1 billion. Now,
right.
Patricia, my question, first off, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your wealth of knowledge on
Thank you.
this topic with us.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you have a background in psychology. Now, I know that like the three, like, correct me if I'm wrong, the three biggest fears or and anxiety causing things people have is health, money, and relationships. With your background in psychology, do you think that helped you hone in on the financial thing? And the second part of my question is this something you learned along the way, or were you brought up knowing about planning financially and stuff like that? Because I love origin stories.
Well, first of all, yes, you are right. Those are the biggest fears somebody has. And that's why the first point in my head was like, what's the mindset? What's the mindset for that? And just acknowledging it's okay to have fear. Fear is not bad. That's the point. It's not bad, but how do you tackle it? How do you come about it? What are you going to do with that fear? Are you going to keep in that fear, or are you going to be proactive and be able to get out of that fear? And then what's your plan of action to do that? And going back into this financing, no, I was not brought up that way. It was two extremes. Funny, because my dad was I guess it's because of the way he would think. He was, you know what, I have a certain amount of money, let's do something with it.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Let's spend it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, versus my mom, she's more very methodical. She's like, okay, we need to save, we need to like be smart with what we do, not overspend it. So it was literally two extremes. So I learned a little bit about how my dad was, but also how my mom was. So could have made better decisions even in my younger years, absolutely. But I didn't have any, because you don't learn this in college. You don't
Right.
learn this. You don't have okay, what is the rule of 72 example? That is the rule that help us learn how to, how many years it will take to double our money. So it's a little formula there, and it goes either when we are going to borrow or we're going to grow. So little things like that. I didn't know, absolutely. So no, I learned it because I asked myself, what lifestyle do I want? What do I want to teach my children, which I have three? What do I want them? Do I make a pivot? Do I pivot and, teach them something else by example? And that's how I started going into that. And then I'll go into how about if I make it bigger? How about if I'm able to reach other people and sit with them and understand them? Because the whole finance, it could be very cold. Well, what do you have? How can I help you? Do you have
Right.
money? Do you have money? Okay, this is what I could do.
Yeah.
That's what, and it's very respectful. But
Yeah.
me, very personally, I like, you know what? Let me hear your story. Let me sit down with you. Let's have a conversation.
Mm,
This is my story. This is what
mm,
I did. My dad passed away 6 years ago,
I'm so sorry
and
to hear
I
that.
was thank you. I was caught on into shoot. I have to take care of this. I'm the oldest of my three siblings, and how do I do this? I don't have a way to do this. I don't
yeah,
have he doesn't have life insurance. He doesn't have something in
yeah,
place. And it's already hard as a
mm,
burden, as as how much it hurts if you have
yeah,
I had a very close relationship with him. And on top of that, that financial burden,
yeah,
oh my gosh, it really weighs you down to to the extent. So then I started thinking, I don't want people to, or anybody to feel the way I felt at that moment. How can I help? You know? And then I go even further. I don't even want my children to feel that way. I want to learn. I want to improve. And honestly, I got into this business through answered prayer, through a very, very, very sweet friend and colleague, now colleague. It just crossed my path, and here I am today, and being willing to always share my story and help other people, and not feel the way I felt. And it starts with education, with that mindset.
yeah.
So what sets me apart, honestly, that so that Eric, that's in an essence, that's my story.
I love
I
that. I
love that.
love that.
That's
I love that.
awesome. And thank
Yeah.
you for, being willing to mention prayer. Me and Larry are vocal about our faith. So thank you
Yes.
for mentioning that.
Yes. Yes. That is a very big thing. Eh, what you talk about mindset, and obviously, what, around 2018, my father had passed as well, and I know the difficulty, and um, because you have everything going on. How did you sift through the sadness and the pain, and how did you discover your financial mindset?
It didn't come, to be very honest with you. It was very hard for me. There's a time, and just in a little personal note, I felt I fell in somewhat of a depression, bigger depression.
Yeah.
Every like I literally felt that my world was tumbling down. That's what everything came like in like a whirlwind. Time went by a little bit, and he inherits his hard-earned money, and I had to take care of his financial stuff and everything, his properties and this and that. So that's where it's the first thing is like, okay, my dad worked really hard. I wished I would have done more, and I am beyond grateful. So I have to take care, because this becomes my livelihood.
Yeah.
What can I do, to the extent that I didn't go into, oh my gosh, I'm going to spend it, I'm going to do this. Did I want to? Did I want to go into travel? I love traveling, and that's what I want to do when I'm a little older and I'm able to do it more frequently. Um, but how can I take care? How can I safeguard this? So I left it. I left it be. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I used a little bit to help my son, my first son, move into college. Um, but that's it, and I left it there. So then again, my answered prayer, okay, what can I do? Maybe about a couple years later, maybe 2-3 years later, my friend and colleague now just comes and shares exactly what she's learned,
Mhm.
sets with me, made that call, hey, can we connect? And that's exactly what we did. We connected, and she showed me and she educated me, and then that sparked, and I said to myself, you know what, how about if I do this? What do I need to do? What
Yeah.
did I need to learn? And that's how I transitioned into this business, because I said to her, I really want to help people. I really want to, bring all walks of life into what I feel. And it felt so empowered.
Mm.
Like, especially as a psych major, in my life, I'm being very honest with you. I thought I was going to go into financial business because I'm very more of a free spirit. I'm very more of, let's talk to people, connect with people. And I said, how about if I do that and connect with something I know that can make a difference in somebody's life?
Wow.
So,
That's, or,
It's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, that's, I was just gonna say that's like a mic drop in itself because, I mean, to realize, you know what, there is a lot of things in our life that pull us,
yeah,
different directions. I think when you have something that really is tragic, I think you have two ways to look at it. Either you, just like kind of what we're saying, and thinking about the psychology of it all, you really have to, you can deal with it head on, and you can cry, and you can actually be depressed, or you can avoid it and really sink into somebody that maybe you don't want to be, and places you don't want to be, emotionally, spiritually. Um, and I think this is one of those, and not a heavy way, but I think people know enough now with the economy, and as, and we only learn as we grow, right? We grow
exactly.
up, and we learn. And I think people are learning more so now than ever how important it is to be financially literate and have
Yeah,
a
I like
financial mindset. Oh, what, Eric?
I like that,
Oh, yeah,
financially literate. I like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And that is
And
the idea. That is the idea.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. How do you what is the first step? Because we've done, you're already miles ahead of people that are just kind of, you know because everything, nobody wants cold anymore. Nobody does well with cold. Nobody
Yes.
wants a cold call. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to just be a hard sell.
Correct.
And what you do, especially with creatives, I think everybody in general now, but creatives, they don't want a hard sell,
Exactly.
because we're the type of like, oh, look, it's a beautiful morning, and I can feel the sweat, and I can feel the cold, and I can
Yeah.
feel, and it's a lot of feeling stuff, right?
Yes.
Maybe. But what you just said, you're miles ahead of somebody who's like, okay, here's the deal, let's get to work. And you're like, wait, what? I don't even know. It's very intimidating.
Yes.
How can we go about starting people to think about and have that financial mindset, aside of really having to have what is and could potentially be, a difficult conversation about our finances?
Hmm.
What's another way to start living in that financial mindset that you were talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing, and I want to acknowledge this, it's okay for us to acknowledge, you know, I'm not where I want to be. I feel bad. And like I said, I'm a very free spirit, and I take sure to acknowledge that. But I want to take away the guilt into it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the most important part. And yes, you're right. Nobody likes, okay, well, okay, how much do you have? Okay, this is what I could do. Okay, sign here.
yeah.
No,
Right,
no,
right.
that's honestly me
Yeah,
personally. I don't do business that way. I don't even like to do that. Um, I want the person who want to feel one understood, because literally what I do is, how would I like somebody to treat me?
mm,
How would I like to have that? Let's say, I don't want to say, I want to take away the word difficult, because it's not difficult, honestly. It's just not necessarily an everyday conversation. Let's put
right,
it that way.
right. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just taking away that pressure, taking away oh, it's a difficult conversation. It's an uncomfortable conversation. So we acknowledge that, it's okay. Yeah,
yeah,
you know what? I'm not where I want to be, but I want to do something about it. How
yeah,
can we do that? So I go about it as, how would I want to have that conversation?
yeah,
How
yeah,
would I want to go? How do I want to be treated? Do I want to go into that exactly cold call? No, absolutely not.
yeah,
That's so not me. So
Right.
I'll love to connect with that person. And exactly that. I go back to my dad. That was my dad. He would, be a connector. He would love to connect with that people and that person and talk to that person. So I learned that a lot about, I learned that from him a lot. So yeah, I mean, I said I admire creative people
Yeah.
because of that creative brain. But you could use that creative brain also as, how can I be proactive with this?
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, I mean, I cannot say anything else that, come and have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
And let's talk and see where you are and how can I help you? Because
Yes.
that's the end goal, for you to
Right.
feel, oh my gosh. Because if I'm able to, when I end that conversation and that person goes, at the end of the day, like, oh my gosh, I had such a good conversation.
Yeah.
I start, getting those creative ideas of how can I do this, and I have a support with like a person like myself,
Mm-hmm.
that would be
Mm-hmm.
absolutely amazing.
What is, and to add to that, and it just kind of popped into my head, what are some of the difficult questions that you get asked, in terms of, I know one of them right now, it's with the economy being the way it is, how much can somebody come to you with as little as possible, because knowing full well what it takes to feed a family, much less, rent and or mortgage. So what is, I guess this is, I think we should have the difficult conversation for
Yeah.
people so they know. What is the least amount of money somebody can come to you with and go, look, here's my job, here's what I do, here's what I make monthly. I would like to do something. I don't know what. And go.
Okay. Well, like I said, it's not one size fits all, but
Right.
let's say a scenario. Let me give you a scenario. Okay, well, yeah, this is what I earn, this is what I owe, this is what my budget. So let's break it down. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
So we call it a personal financial strategy,
Yeah.
in the fancy word, but in
Right.
a
Right.
simple terms, is literally just breaking it down.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go over, where do you put your money?
Mhm.
Let's go
Right.
over that. How
Yeah.
much is this? How much is that? Okay, but then how often do you go out? Which is great. I love going out.
Right.
And then I say, well, you know what? Let's say, well, you know what? I have to have my Starbucks every morning.
Oh boy. Yeah. That's at least
Yeah.
$30 a day.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, I love my daughter got me hooked on the strawberry blended refresher. I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, you're killing me here. So, but just to give you an example, so we go back and like, okay, how about, you know what? I don't want to take away your Starbucks because I
Right.
mean, you got to have it. I get it. Or
Right.
you have to
Right.
have your coffee, or you have to have
Right.
this, whatever is your little comfort, because those are
Yeah.
comforts and it's
Right. Yeah.
understanding. And
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But how about we, redirect?
Like
Instead of having five, how about you have two until
right.
you build up to that five again?
Mm.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
Let's like right. Okay, so right here we have, I don't know, let's say $30 a month times four, and that's 120. Okay, there's something that we could do. There is something that you could do. You could have,
Hmm.
a policy that gives you a cash value, and then that allows you to start accumulating money. Then after a certain amount of time, we could, use that policy for something else, but you start growing something. And let's do
Right.
that for your family,
Yeah.
as little as, children, their policies are even, much more affordable because they're young.
Right.
So
Right.
we could
Right.
start building that for, start putting that money aside for college or for whatever they want to do,
Yeah.
trade school, or they want to just buy their first car. We could
Yeah.
do that, but we start it young. So there's so many things that we could do, which just a matter of having that conversation and just, I call it being open and
Yeah.
having the willingness. If you have those
Yeah.
two ingredients,
Yeah.
you know what, there's always a way to do it. And let's say I could even go into, you know what, let me show you what I do, you know
Mm.
Let me
Mhm.
show you, because there's people like, you know what, I really want to change of a career path. I really want to do something else. I really want to go into something else. Then I'm always expanding my big team, and I say, you know what, come, let me show you, and this is what you could do. This is what I
Wow.
did. This is why I pivot into this. Your why could be very strong, and you want to do something else or add already to what you do. Even
Yeah.
creatives. We have a creative actually in our team. It's absolutely amazing. He's a drummer. He's absolutely amazing.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
so
Nice.
and he's adding his skills as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So honestly, the sky is the limit. So I would say, you're a go-getter, you're driven, join my team. Let me show you how you do this.
Oh,
You don't have to leave what you're currently doing
yeah.
to pivot into this industry. Example, let me show you. Kind of like
Wow.
what I do. Like I combine all my skills and I put it into practice.
Wow. That's
that's
super
awesome.
amazing. I almost feel, and I have no earthly idea, but I think this is what it would kind of be like when you hit your first big movie and you have a really good agent and a manager who goes, "Hey, look, I know you're going to be getting a lot of money. I need to set you up with a financial person to talk to you." And much like Eric, what you were saying, like with the sports, right? The sports
Yes.
guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the very first things they look at: your lifestyle. What do you want? And that's when it's kind of easy, right? Easier, as opposed to, somebody going in kind of like what you were talking about, Patricia, about, well, they have this and they like to go to the mall and they like to do this, they like to do that. And then it's about the the shifting of your priorities. And it's like, how many pairs of jeans do you need a week? Let's just go with one, right?
For
Let's
now.
go with, oh
For
yeah.
now.
And see,
Exactly.
that's the thing. It's what is it? It's always darkest before the dawn. It's always the roughest seas before we get to calm waters. But, and I guess you can look at it however, but I think you have to, much like, in any kind of situation, you really have to look at realistically, and you really have to take, ooh, you really have to take the emotion out of everything, right? Because if you're emotional, you're like, I can't do that. I really can't let that go. I don't know. How do you deal with people that are emotionally attached to their money? Because, I mean, when you don't have a lot, you become emotionally attached to it because that's your like security blanket in a way, I
Absolutely.
think.
I do come across, and it's a little bit hard, because we are humans, and I love to acknowledge, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it, but I like to acknowledge it. So where I come and I do is, I share, and I said, you know what? This is what you could do. And how about that blanket that you have using what you said? How about we make it a bigger blanket? How about we make it a quilt instead of just a little blanket?
Oh,
Right. And you
yeah.
can still have that security, because the one thing I do want to mention is that, um, there's there's many ways that we, like, when we people who work, have worked for companies, there's pension plans, but not necessarily, it's not that it's bad, because it's not, but how about, let's put something where you don't lose money, right?
Mm.
That's exactly where I go, because I go back into, do I want to lose what my dad, gave me as a gift? No. So I want to have it
Yeah.
secure. So that's the first thing I do. You know what? Your blanket will be secure. But we'll make it into a quilt.
I like
Hey,
that.
we'll make it
Yeah.
into two quotes. But
Yeah.
Wow.
sure. And the best thing I could do, because I'm also very respectful of people's timelines as well, because, well, I'm not sure. Like, okay, well, my job is to share what I know,
Mhm.
to empower you. And now you already know. And I said, you know what? I would love to help you. And here is my number. And I will, circle around back you if you need that, because I don't want you to go where you're losing money, or you have that opportunity. Because my dad would say all the time to me, well, Time will be there all the time, right?
Mm,
I
But
like
it's up
that.
to you, and it's your decision if you go with time or you don't go with time.
mm,
Time will go anyway, regardless. So it's
mhm.
your choice. It's your decision. Go with
Yeah.
time or stay left behind. So
Mm,
so that
Ooh.
and there's emotions, of course, because we're human. We have to acknowledge that. Kind of the same way I said when I say, well, oh, no, I don't want to talk about that, hard conversation. It's just
yeah.
acknowledge it. Like, I understand.
Yeah.
I completely understand because we are human. We cannot take away the emotions from us. We just have to learn how to be okay with it, acknowledge it, and then
Mm,
pivot, and
wow.
then
Yeah.
how can we empower that? Let's that emotion that you have, let's turn that fear into empowerment.
Mm. Man, I like that.
And you know what?
Patricia.
I think
Wow.
that is a perfect way to end the show. I mean, I
Wow.
know we're going to have you back on again. So
Oh,
this
Yeah.
is a
my pleasure. I
perfect
love that.
way to end part one of having you on. Again, all of Patricia's information will be in the link if you're listening in over on Anchor or watching over on YouTube. Again, Patricia, thank you so much for coming on. And like we say each and every week, folks, remember, support our troops.